Welcome along to the Cheltenham Festival Handicaps web preview with Paul Jones joining me here in the studio, author of the Cheltenham Festival Betting Guide and our statsman on attheraces.com. The race to focus on now is the Pertemps Final, which comes on day 3 over the 3-mile trip. It was won last year by Grade 1 winner Fingal Bay, who was outclassing his rivals off top weight. Traditionally, it's been unexposed horses to the fore, although we've seen more experienced horses more recently. And as far as the market goes this year, Call the Cops, who hacked up at Doncaster last Saturday, 8-1. Ed Amy, 10-1. Regal Encore and Dawalan, both in there at 10-1 and 14-1. And some other interesting contenders at bigger prices in the market. So as far as the stats go, Paul, the first place to look might well be with certain trainers who seem to have a very strong record in this.
John Joe O'Neill down the years has got a strong record in this race, and his main representative, I suppose, might be Join the Clan, who's won his last 2 races at Warwick and Wetherby under Patrick Cowley, and he's a progressive horse who started from a fairly low rating base, and I think he's got a fairly similar profile to Shut the Front Door a couple of years ago when he finished 4th in this race.
Now, it's always a minefield, these handicaps. So what are the stats that punters need to hone in on to narrow this field down? Well,
it's more sort of negative stats than positive stats. I mean, there are 20 qualifiers for this race. There's an awful lot of options to qualify. But over the last 18 years, only 2 winners have won a qualifier. So it's looking for a horse, I think, who's shaped well in a qualifier rather than won a qualifier. That said, Fingal Bay did win a qualifier last year and became the first winner for 17 years to then go on and win the final after winning a qualifying race. He won the extra qualifying race, which was won by Regal Encore this year.
And we're looking at an older horse here, judging by the top stat there.
Yeah, I mean, it is a stamina test, and in stamina tests, experience comes to the fore. And horses 8 plus have won 7 of the last 9 runnings. That's quite a big stat, really. You look to handicap hurdles, and your first line of thought is normally to look to the younger horses. But this race has changed over the years now. Classier horses are running. The lesser exposed horses are finding it harder to get in the race, and it's been the more grizzled handicappers that have been coming to the fore.
Now, you talked about the negative stats. One of those is Nicky Henderson's record in this, so I think he's yet to train a winner. He's got Call the Cops, though. Could he? Yeah,
and Dawalan as well. So he's got at least 2 leading fancies. I think he's had 25 runners in this race. He's not had the winner, but amazingly, only 3 of those have even finished in the first 10. So, yeah, this hasn't been Nicky Henderson's race, it's fair to say.
So it doesn't bode well for his chances. But Call the Cops, very impressive, obviously, entering the 4 at Doncaster on Saturday. We're seeing him here finishing 2nd at Chepstow. Both of his good, sound runs have been on the better ground, and the step up to 3 miles should seem to suit last time.
Yeah, I mean, last time he was impressive. He really tanked through the race, and his jumping was phenomenally good. His jumping out of Andrew Tinkler's hands, and all eyes on that day were on Batavere, who needed to qualify to qualify, who was the anti-post favourite at the time. But the same was true of Call the Cops. He really needed to win to have a chance of getting in the race, and he won very easily indeed. But it's the Henderson record that does put you off. Trainers have got good records in certain races at the festival, and you like to hone in on those, but when they've got a poor record in a race, it does put me off, and it's a very poor record Henderson's got in the Pertemps.
And Dawalan, would that put a line through him for you as well?
I wouldn't put a line through it on but it is always going to be in the back of your mind, and he's a horse who promises to improve for staying trips all his career. Aga Khan bred. Battled really well when he went Aintree early in the season. Yeah, it's the right race for him. Again, it's just the Henderson stat that puts me off.
OK, let's try and find a positive stat then, if we can. You touched upon Regal Encore, who fulfills that in one of the qualifiers, and presumably, as a result, it is one of the fancies here.
He is, yeah. 10 of the last 19 winners won last time out, which, when you consider this is considered a bit of a plot race, that might raise a few eyebrows. Yes, he's always been a classy horse. He was 2nd in the Weatherby's Champion Bumper. Then things didn't really go for him as a novice hurdler, and then he was a little bit disappointing earlier this season. But the first time they banged him up to 3 miles, he absolutely bolted up in that extra race, which looked a good qualifier, contained some some pretty decent horses in there, including a Levan, who was second in the same ownership, who I think is also going to go for this race, and he's another interesting one for JP McManus. And JP McManus has won this race 3 times in the past, including with a couple of 50-to-1 shots, by the way. So it's not a case of just concentrating on his number 1 contender.
OK, there's another fascinating contender we must look at, and Tony Martin's Ademi, who was a real eye-catcher last time at Musselburgh, prompting the stewards to have a look at this race when finishing 4th, but certainly one that took punters' eyes, I imagine.
Yeah, this isn't the race. Yeah, it was at Punchestown. I mean, rumours in Premier League circles was that even Arsene Wenger spotted this one. But yeah, he had a qualifying ride, we'll call it, at Musselburgh last time out, and this has been the plan all season, clearly. He's been to the festival twice before. He placed on the first occasion, and then on the second occasion he was going pretty well until he was brought down. So it's always been the plan, I'm sure, to get him to the festival. Yeah, you have to say he's probably the pick of the Irish.
And as far as any other contenders go, I mean, we've mentioned John Joe O'Neill's record. He's won it 4 times before. Will the likes of something like Join the Clan go in here? He's 14-to-1 and a winner of a qualifier as well at Warwick. Or any others that take your eye at all, Paul?
I would have thought Join the Clan would go here, and a Levan would go here as well. Big Easy, the Sarowich winner. He's a horse who I think will enjoy the faster ground than he's been running on during the winter this season. He's been running in the right kind of races. He was second to Orbison in the valuable fixed brush hurdle at Haydock, and that's been a good guide to this race. In fact, 3 of the last 5 winners have run a good race in that race at Haydock back in November. And Big Easy strikes me as a horse who would go very well in this race, and Philip Hobbs has won it before as well.
And an 8-year-old, so a tick in that box as well. Trust and Times was only beaten half a length when he was 4th behind Fingal Bay last year, so he could be another interesting one, or the likes of Brother Brian for Hughie Morrison. But your final selection for this, Paul?
Oh, you're pressing me now this early. I do like the profile of Big Easy.
Big Easy, 14-to-1 then for our Pertemps Network Final.